Good morning. Can you hear me fine? Not sure if this is working. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Coimbra International Symposium, Interdisciplining Knowledge, Humanities, Sciences, and Culture. We welcome you to Coimbra. We welcome you here to Casa da Cidadania da Língua. And I'd like to start by saying how thrilled I am that the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies is organizing this first symposium. I will just start by greeting my colleagues here in the panel. Paula Paixão, she's the director of the Faculty of Psychology and Educational Sciences. Albert Garrido is the director of Faculty of Economics at UC. And Rafael Nascimento is the chief director of the Division of Culture of the Coimbra municipality that we are partnering with by hosting these events, and we are very glad. Thank you for that. We would also, we're going to have here Albano Figueiredo at the opening table, who is the director of the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, and for last minute reasons, she was not able to be here. So I'd like to thank, first of all, the speakers of this colloquium. We're absolutely thrilled to organize this event, as I said, in partnership with the municipality of Coimbra. And we are really happy with the lineup of the program, which we think is absolutely fantastic. Filled with scholars and researchers that have spent significantly time reflecting upon and working on interdisciplinary issues. And it's really a pleasure and honor to host you here in Coimbra. And we thank you deeply by accepting the last minute invitations that were sent. And thank you for accommodating your schedules to come here and to travel to Portugal and to Coimbra. We really hope that the symposium and the city make it worth the effort. Just a few things about the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies. We are what we call a knowledge inclusive center. We host over 100 integrated researchers, that is, the researchers that call CEGINT, or the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies, their home. And most of these researchers are faculty members at the three faculties that are represented here: the Faculty of Psychology and Educational Sciences, Faculty of Arts and Humanities, Faculty of Arts and Humanities, Faculty of Economics, but we also have members in the Faculty of Science and Technology. And we also have members that are affiliated with other universities, and also with the Polytechnic institutes throughout Portugal. What that means is that in order to be a center for interdisciplinary studies, you really need to have a wide base of human resources, and that's exactly what we have. That's engaging specialized knowledge in a number of distinct fields. So we think of interdisciplinarity to be a mode of knowledge. And so we believe that the Center of Interdisciplinary Studies should practice interdisciplinarity, but it should also study interdisciplinarity. So by practicing, we have a number of projects that exemplify and take advantage of interdisciplinary settings, but we were really lacking an event that would significantly reflect upon what interdisciplinarity is, how is it done, and so that's the purpose of this colloquium. So we want to take interdisciplinarity as our object of study, not as our object of reflection. And so we are congregating here really the people that have significantly shaped the field and that have reflected about these issues quite deeply. So just a last word about the program. We have 4 keynote speakers lined up that are absolutely stellar, I should say, they have invested a lot of work in shaping what interdisciplinarity means. We also have a number of plenary talks with no less stellar colleagues, I should say. The panels are distributed among different themes. So we're thinking of one that is called heterogeneity, that really deals with the different paradigms in which interdisciplinarity works. Others devoted to assessments. We're thinking about different ways in which interdisciplinarity is evaluated and assessed. And we have another one on performativities that's looking at the actualities of interdisciplinarity in the arts, the sciences, and the humanities. We also have a session dedicated to 4 books dealing with both the politics and the epistemologies of interdisciplinarity. And we are quite grateful and happy and lucky that some of those authors are here. So we're going to concentrate in 4 of the books that these authors have wrote in the recent past. And we'll have a valedictory session at the end where also members of the scientific board of the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies will be. That will try to do some reflection on what the symposium was about and thinking about some future directions as well. So I will just say thank you again for being here and hope you enjoy your symposium and the CD as well. Thank you.
Good morning. It is a pleasure for me as Director of the Faculty of Psychology and Educational Science to be able to participate in this opening session. And first of all, I would like to thank Professor José Oliveira Martins for having invited me. First of all, I am greeting. I have the pleasure to greet my colleagues at this table in the center. Professor José Oliveira Martins, my colleague Álvaro Garrido, who is the Director of the Faculty of Economics, and Dr. Rafael Nascimento, who is the head of the Division of Culture in the Municipality of Coimbra. And all the participants, of course, many of whom, this room is plenty of people, and the program seems quite very interesting and very challenging. I think this colloquium, this symposium addresses questions and problems, themes and topics that are faced by all our institutions here at University of Coimbra, but really around the world in higher education institutions and not only. But in our institution, in every one of the pillars that define our faculties and university, namely teaching, research, and the transfer of knowledge. Nevertheless, although we are constantly debating around the topic of interdisciplinarity, its importance, its relevance for helping to conceive and help solve future problems and challenges. And we are constantly discussing how to implement interdisciplinarity. We are rarely discussing the concept, as my colleague has said, from several approaches, coming from different places of knowledge, where knowledge is created. So I think this is quite a unique opportunity that we have, and it's really very interesting. Fortunately, in the Faculty of Psychology and Educational Sciences, we have several of our teachers, of our researchers who are members of the Center of Interdisciplinary Studies. I have here my colleague António Gomes Ferreira, who has been very active in this center for many years. Well, so through these members of the center, we have plenty of opportunities to participate in this debate. And we would really like, as a faculty, to be able to participate in this debate. And I think I would like to reinforce the idea that this colloquium, this symposium, not only will debate several issues from different perspectives, but also will be able to spread the conclusions, the knowledge, and the ideas that will be debated and discussed here to different communities, our faculties, the university, and all the communities that surround us. So the program, as I said, seems very challenging, quite interesting, with plenty of new ideas and perspectives. And I wish you plenty of success in this meeting. And we will be waiting at the University of Coimbra, and especially at the Faculty of Psychology and Educational Sciences, for the conclusions of this colloquium. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. Very happy to be here. Yes, not only. I think. Let's wait a few seconds. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Very happy to be here as not only as Director of Faculty of Economics, but also as member of SAGEVINC. At Faculty of Economics, we have 3 members of SAGEVINC. Myself, Professor António Rafael Amaro, and Dulce Freire. Dear Scientific Coordinator of SAGEVINC, Professor Oliveira Martins, dear Director, Professor Paulo Paixão, dear speakers, colleagues, and students, dear Rafael, thank you for your kind invitation, Oliveira Martins. I think this initiative is really important, namely for young scholars, and quite coherent with SAGEVINC scope, as Professor Oliveira Martins pointed out a few minutes before. This opening table, I think it's a chance to share with the audience what are we doing at Faculty of Economics to embrace interdisciplinarity and to promote its spirit. I think this immaterial dimension of interdisciplinarity really matters to promote interdisciplinary research and also interdisciplinary learning. In my view, interdisciplinarity is not a utopia. It is a theoretic and methodologic constructivism. Probably it is. In absolute terms, interdisciplinarity is never achieved, but we get closer to it if we practice it regularly, as we do, or we try to do, at Faculty of Economics. Faculty of Economics is clearly a multidisciplinary school, but it doesn't mean that we are an interdisciplinary school. How are we shaping interdisciplinary at FEUC, Faculty of Economics, University of Coimbra? I could share with you a lot of examples. I'll be very short. Currently, we have a strong partnership with 2 research unities, CEBER, Center for Economics and Business Research, created in 2016, and SES, Centro de Estudos Sociais, both very engaged with interdisciplinarity. 60% of our professors are integrated members of CEBER, and 25% at the moment belongs to SES. We have graduation programs on economics, management, sociology, and international relations, our main 4 areas. But above those 4 scientific areas, we have professors from economic and social history. This is my case, for example, law, maths, and decision analysis. So we join different disciplinary knowledge areas. At the moment, we are very committed, for example, in an international initiative, a consortium named Energy for Sustainability, joined with the Faculty of Science of Technology. And this is a common space for interdisciplinary, very important at the moment. In a first view, we could say that our mission at Faculty of Economics is based on social science. But commonly, as you know, economists do not accept that economics is also a social science. My colleague Vitor Neves will talk about this certainly. Exactly at this point, it started problems to embrace interdisciplinarity. In fact, the understanding of our own scientific disciplines is very, very different. Sometimes we think our own expertise and theoretical background is self-sufficient, and in fact, it is not. Current challenges of fundamental and applied knowledge on topics like sustainability, political ecology, governance, inequalities, or peace studies, strong topics of our research, of the research we made currently at Faculty of Economics. I think all of those topics require interdisciplinary knowledge, of course, we know that. I can give an example from my own experience. In my research on economic and social history, I have always sought to build interdisciplinary knowledge. Firstly, because I believe on the advantages of interdisciplinarity. For me, this is an axiological commitment. And secondly, because my research topics require it. It was like this in the study of marine fisheries, where I needed to study marine biology, some aspects of maritime law, and oceans governance, for example. And it was like this in the study of economic corporatism, in which I needed to study comparative politics, public law, and, for example, regulation, economic regulation theory. And it was like that, finally, when I wrote an history of social economy, where I needed to combine social history, sociology, law, and economics. So I think we have a great program. I would like to stay all the journey. I'll stay to listen to the opening conference. Congratulations and have a nice work today. Thank you.
Oh, hi, can you hear me? Yes. So I just want to send you a few welcoming words to this place, this public cultural equipment with so many years of tradition around culture, around arts, around poets. And I hope you can enjoy all the symposium and of course all the knowledge and all the area around us. I'm going to switch to Portuguese. I'm sorry, because we are in the Casa de Cidadania da Língua, where the Portuguese language is so important. So I'm going to switch. Portanto, em primeiro lugar, quero agradecer o convite e todo o painel. Destacar, obviamente, o trabalho que vocês têm vindo a desenvolver ao longo já de boas décadas nesta área das ciências sociais, das humanidades, da cultura, e tão importante que é trabalhar as humanidades hoje em dia, parece, e a interdisciplinaridade, sem dúvida. Dizer que este equipamento público cultural é de gestão municipal, durante muitos anos foi conhecida como Casa da Escrita, transporta consigo todo o legado do poeta Cruspel, de intelectuais como Eduardo Lourenço, de toda paisagem artística relacionada com o neorrealismo que aconteceu aqui em Coimbra, e, portanto, este é, sem dúvida, um espaço que se quer aberto e livre para a discussão, para a disseminação de conhecimento, para a criação de conhecimento, e é isso exatamente que este simpósio promove. O município entendeu alterar a sua designação para a Casa da Cidadania e da Língua, no âmbito do protocolo que celebrou com a Associação Portugal-Brasil 200 anos, no sentido, um protocolo que incide sobre a programação cultural e sobre a curadoria, numa lógica de olhar a língua portuguesa numa perspectiva mais global, ou, quiçá, as várias línguas portuguesas que existem pelo mundo e que necessitam ser investigadas e trabalhadas e pensadas, e também disseminar o conhecimento por essa via. Portanto, da minha parte, enquanto dirigente do município, enquanto chefe de divisão de cultura, com grande agrado que recebemos este simpósio neste espaço e que possamos, obviamente, tirar conclusões ou ficar com dúvidas mais interessantes para os anos vindouros. Muito obrigado.
Well, to wrap up the opening session, it's now formally over, and we'll start right away with our first keynote speaker, Georgina Born, and please either will. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So, I would like to start this session with this presentation of our keynote speaker, Professor Georgina Born. It is with great pleasure that I have the opportunity to present Professor Georgina Born's work, very important in reference to my own work and anthropology, music studies, and media studies in general. Georgina Born is a professor of anthropology and music in the Department of Anthropology, University of London. She was professor of music and anthropology in the Faculty of Music, University of Oxford, and professor of sociology, anthropology, and music at University of Cambridge. Earlier, she was a professional musician in experimental rock, jazz, and improvised music. She has held several visiting professorships. She received several awards, such as the Dance Medal of the Royal Musical Association for the article for relational musicology, music, and interdisciplinarity beyond the practice term. She also received the Fellowship of the British Academy and an Order of the British Empire for services to anthropology, musicology, and higher education. Professor Bourne has several groundbreaking works in the fields of anthropology and sociology of music and media studies, all of them anchored in an interdisciplinary positioning. Her book, Rationalizing Culture, Become Brûlé, and the Institutionalization of the Musical Avant-Garde, published in 1995, is an ethnography of Become, the Institut de Recherche et de Coordination Artistique Musique, and simultaneously a critical genealogy of modernism and postmodernism as long-term cultural systems. The book is a pioneering anthropological approach to a dominant Western cultural institution. In addressing Birkham's complex institutional culture, which includes music, science, and technology, the book draws on ideas from ethnomusicology, sociology of culture, art history, semiotics, and psychoanalysis. And Certain Vision, Birth, Type, the Reinvention of the BBC, published in 2004, is also an ethnography of a cultural institution. Based on fieldwork conducted in the late 1990s, with a return to the field in the early 2000s, it addresses this public service broadcasting organization in a period of digital modeling, stressing the relevance of public service to cultural dialogue in an age of neoliberal policies. Among her edited volumes, I would like to highlight Western Music and its Others, Difference, Representation, and Appropriation in Music, a volume co-edited with David Esmondahl, published in 2000, which is an important work on the issues of representation, otherness, and racialization in music. One of the rare attempts to theorize colonial and post-colonial relations between Europe and its non-Western other from the perspective of musical expression. And finally, interdisciplinarity, reconfigurations of the social and natural sciences, co-edited with Andrew Berry in 2013, a volume which advances new theorization on interdisciplinarity, accounting for its different practices or modes and its distinct political and institutional frameworks. This is, of course, just a selection from a rich path of research. So, Professor Bourne's keynote speech today is Are there limits? Are there limits? Interdisciplinarities among the social sciences and humanities and beyond. So please join me in welcoming Professor Georgina Bourne.
Thank you, Rui, so much. That was a very kind introduction. And I'm really grateful to be invited to talk in this incredible building, which is so beautiful, and to have been invited to be part of the external scientific advisory board for the Center for Interdisciplinary Studies. It's been a very interesting journey thus far. So I'm going to speak for about 45 minutes. I hope that's okay. How are we doing? A bit behind. So 10 years ago, Andrew Barry and I published an edited book called Interdisciplinarity, Reconfigurations of the Social and Natural Sciences, which also contained chapters addressing the arts and humanities. And we'll be talking about that later today, but I'm going to give you some sneak preview in the coming minutes. With our colleagues, Marilyn Strathern and Gisa Vescalnis, we had undertaken comparative empirical studies of 4 diverse but strongly interdisciplinary fields, and the book presented the results along with other chapters in dialogue with the framework for analyzing interdisciplinarity that we outline in the book's introduction. We'll speak about it this afternoon. We opened the book Interdisciplinarity by observing that the idea that research should become more interdisciplinary has become commonplace. The question of whether a given knowledge practice is too disciplinary or interdisciplinary or not disciplinary enough has become an issue for governments, for research policymakers and funding agencies. Interdisciplinarity has emerged as a key political preoccupation, yet the term tends to obscure as much as illuminate the diverse practices gathered under its rubric. So it was our conviction that comparative empirical research on lively interdisciplinary fields would provide much needed illumination. In the book, the interdisciplinary fields investigated included environmental research, science and technology studies, medical humanities, art science, and geography with its internal interdisciplinarity spanning human and physical geography. But of course, times change, disciplines move on, or do they? And a key question for Andrew and I is whether and in what ways the landscape of interdisciplinarity has itself changed since our diagnosis a decade ago. Now, I want to address this question today through introspection by reflecting on a body of interdisciplinary research on music that I've been producing from the start of my career, but especially since 2010. Through this body of work, I want to probe the difference between interdisciplinarity between the social sciences, arts, and humanities on one hand. I'm going to call that SSAH, please forgive me, rather than read out social sciences, arts, and humanities every time. And between, on the other hand, this SSAH cluster and the natural sciences on the other. Now, by reflecting on two phases of my work and using the framework we presented a decade ago, I'm going to pose the question in my title: are there limits to interdisciplinarity once we take it beyond the social sciences, arts, and humanities? What can we make of interdisciplinarities of an entirely different order? And what can we learn from this? So in our book, Andrew and I created a framework for understanding key motivations for and practices of interdisciplinarity. We drew attention in particular to efforts in various fields to transcend the limits of existing disciplines by re-practicing not only the epistemologies, but the ontologies immanent in those fields. And by this crazy neologism, re-practicing, I'm drawing attention to the fact that these efforts are much more than mental. Now, across these diverse interdisciplinary fields, we discerned what we called three modes of interdisciplinarity, by which we mean three ideal typical arrangements of the interrelations between the component disciplines in practice. The first we call the integrative synthesis mode of interdisciplinarity, in which a given interdisciplinary practice proceeds through the integration of two or more what is sometimes called antecedent disciplines in relatively symmetrical form. And we cited a paper from Harvard's Education School by Veronica Mansilla and Howard Gardner to this effect. I've got the quote up there, just to show you that this is very real. In this integrative approach, it's proposed that interdisciplinary work should be judged according to the criteria of the antecedent disciplines, and the value will be assessed in terms of these additive criteria. In this study, we defined interdisciplinary work as work that integrates knowledge and modes of thinking from two or more disciplines. In the second, subordination service mode, interdisciplinarity takes a very different form, in which one or more disciplines occupy a subordinate or service role in relation to other disciplines. We call them the master discipline. This points to the hierarchical division of labor that characterizes many forms of interdisciplinarity. In this second mode, the service disciplines are typically conceived as making up for or filling in for, or offering some kind of adjunct to fill in for an absence or a lack in the master discipline. In the third, agonistic-antagonistic mode, in contrast, again, interdisciplinarity takes the form neither of a synthesis nor of a hierarchical division of labor. Rather, it's driven by an agonistic or antagonistic relation to existing or prior forms of disciplinary knowledge and practice. Here, interdisciplinarity springs from a self-conscious dialogue with, criticism of, or opposition to the limits of established disciplines. This doesn't mean that what is produced can be reduced to these antagonisms, nor that the knowledge produced is necessarily opposition or critical. By pointing to this agonistic-antagonistic mode, we highlight how this kind of interdisciplinarity stems from a desire to contest or transcend the given epistemological and/or ontological bases of specific disciplines, a move that makes the new interdiscipline irreducible to its antecedent disciplines. Moreover, agonistic-antagonistic interdisciplinarity is path-dependent, generated always in response to the specific nature of existing disciplines. Now, if the identification of modes of interdisciplinarity highlights the diverse ways in which the interrelations between disciplines can be practically configured, it tells us little about why interdisciplinarity is thought to be necessary, its motivation or rationale. At the time, we pointed to three distinct logics, we call them logics, guiding the burgeoning of interdisciplinarity, and we call them the logics of accountability, of innovation, and in the interaction